These are continuously being found in operating systems, applications, and wired and wireless networks. Left undetected or unprotected, these gaps in security provide an open door for cyber attacks that can cause business disruptions and devastating financial consequences. Managers no longer question whether their networks will be attacked. Instead, they ask, how much damage will be done? How long will the investigation take? And how much will the investigations and fines cost us? To strengthen their cyber initiatives, organizations need to acquire a deeper knowledge of cyber attacks and combine it with their business context, valuation techniques, and financial measurements to establish the true cost of their losses. Applying this deeper knowledge of potential business impacts, leaders can be more effective in managing and measuring cyber risk and improve their ability to recover from a cyber attack. In this video, you will learn about the rising number of data breaches, sources of cyber threats and damage caused by aggressive tactics of cyber criminals, and about government regulations, frameworks, standards, and models that can help organizations defend against cyber attacks to ensure business continuity. While business leaders know they're responsible for cybersecurity and privacy threats wherever they occur in their multiple enterprise systems, most of them don't understand how to design, implement, and manage threat intelligence business strategies and risk management plans to prevent data breaches and protect their IT and business resources. Cyber attacks are on the rise. For example, in 2016, there was a rise of 40% of cyber attacks over 2015. More than half of the attacks were phishing expeditions. This is where a hacker tricks an employee into clicking an emailed link to gain access to a corporate network. The industry sectors affected by most cyber attacks are healthcare, business, education, government, and banking. Data incidents, which are attempts to steal data, and actual breaches, which are the retrieval of data, accessed everything from social security numbers to usernames and passwords. The objectives of cybersecurity programs are to protect the confidentiality, integrity, and availability, that is the CIA, of data and information systems from vulnerabilities which are gaps or flaws in a corporate network. As a result of these attacks, reputations can be damaged, financial penalties imposed, federal and state government fines levied, stock values fall, and customer satisfaction plummets. And companies are spending huge amounts to secure their data. The cost of security-related hardware, software, and services reached $73.7 billion in 2016, up from $68.2 billion in 2015. By 2018, this number is expected to approach $90 billion. Typically, when we think of sources of cyber threats, we think of an intentional act. However, some data breaches are unintentional because of a lack of awareness on the part of corporate employees. International threats are usually more visible. Data theft, theft of equipment, manipulating data, viruses, or malicious damage to equipment. On the other hand, unintentional threats are usually due to human error, environmental hazards such as fire or flood, and computer system failures. The majority of both intentional and unintentional cyber threats comes from 8 major sources. These are hacking, phishing, crimeware, which consists of malware and ransomware, denial of services that can be permanent or temporary, insider privilege misuse, physical loss, and miscellaneous errors. One of the biggest mistakes managers make is underestimating the extent of IT vulnerabilities and threats. For example, off-time or off-site use of corporate devices can be risky because, despite policies, employees continue to engage in dangerous online and communication habits. Those habits make them a weak link in an organization's otherwise solid security efforts. Some of the most prevalent and deadly targets that cyber criminals will attack in companies and government agencies include critical infrastructure, theft of intellectual property, identity theft, bring your own device, and social media. Some of these attacks will be conducted as high-profile attacks, while others fall into the category of under-the-radar attacks. High-profile attacks are carried out by hackers who like to be known and take responsibility for their cyber attacks. On the other hand, under-the-radar attacks are typically carried out by advanced, persistent threat attackers whose objective is to steal sensitive corporate data and government secrets to sell on the black market for large sums of money. Regardless of the target, cyber risk must be managed as a top priority, not only by the IT department, but also by everyone in the organization, from top management down to the cleaners. Mobile technology and the Internet of Things are providing new opportunities to hackers and APTs and raising the bar on cybersecurity. As a result, it's becoming increasingly important to see cybersecurity management as an ongoing, unending process, somewhat like painting the Golden Gate Bridge. To manage cybersecurity, organizations must put defenses in place to protect their major assets. These defenses include antivirus software, intrusion detection systems, and intrusion prevention systems. Separate defenses need to be implemented to protect mobile devices. These include mobile biometrics, rogue app monitoring, remote wipe capabilities, encryption, and employees who travel may be required to follow do not carry rules. And of course, mechanisms must be in place to make sure that business functions can be quickly restored when there is a major disruption caused by a cyber attack, whether it's from a malicious attack, employee error, fire, flood, power outage, or some other type of natural disaster. And governments around the world are stepping up to create regulations that protect personally identifiable information against cyber attacks and occupational fraud. This requires organizations to satisfy even stricter government and international regulations that were previously in place. For example, in the U.S., the director of the Bureau of Consumer Protection at the Federal Trade Commission warned that the agency would bring enforcement actions against small businesses who were lacking adequate policies and procedures to protect consumer data. And huge fines can be levied against organizations for non-compliance with government regulations concerning cybersecurity. In contrast to a cyber attack, occupational fraud is the deliberate misuse of an employer's assets for personal gain. The most important item to have in place is a strong corporate governance program to guard against occupational fraud. This might include intelligent analysis engines that track audit trails in key systems and personnel records, or physical access and administrative controls. It's also necessary to establish a work atmosphere that has internal controls to protect corporate employees, partners, and investors. As with cyber attacks, fraud is also regulated by governments, and in the U.S., the dominant regulation that organizations must comply with is the Sarbanes-Oxley Mandate Act. Strategies to protect corporate data and software assets are determined by analyzing what needs to be protected and doing a cost-benefit analysis so that an organization doesn't under or over-invest in cybersecurity. The 6 major objectives of cybersecurity defense strategies include prevention and deterrence, detection, contain the damage, recover, correct causes, and raise awareness to ensure compliance with government regulations. To ensure that security strategies are working, it's also critical that control systems are audited regularly for non-compliance. A number of frameworks, standards, and models have been developed to guide cyber defense strategies. Two widely accepted frameworks that guide risk management and IT governance are the Enterprise Risk Management Model and COBIT-5. Enterprise risk management and COBIT can be used separately or jointly, as with most improvement methodologies. The key to success is starting using them one step at a time. Industry groups impose their own standards to protect their customers and their members' brand images and revenues and improve customer trust in e-commerce. One example of this is the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. Created by Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and Discover, PCI DSS requires all merchants and card payment providers to make certain their web applications are secure to reduce the number of web-related security breaches. To motivate following these standards, the penalties for non-compliance includes fines and increased transaction offenders. I hope that you have enjoyed learning a little more about cybersecurity, and I will see you in the next